Okay. Well, at one point, your stash house gets raided.
Yes.
They find 5 pounds of weed, but you get pretty much just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, so that was 2009. I had some buddies living in a house where I kept the work. That was common. You pay people to keep your shit. And so it got raided. I took all the heat, because I feel bad. These are like legit guys. They got futures. So I was on felony probation. And, the cops are like, hey, you're young. Let's just bring me to your guys or whatever. You probably won't even get a misdemeanor. And I was like, yeah, I can't do that, because I knew the game was really about to explode with the ship and the weed. So I was like, I definitely am not going to fucking rat on my connects. I need those guys. Think about what insane thinking that is, So yeah, but now it's really for real. Now I know if I get busted again, I'm going down. Unfortunately, the money like 10x'd, so I probably should have taken a step back, but
Didn't you go to Colombia after the raid?
Yeah, I went to Colombia, but I was already on probation. So I've been going back and forth for a while. I traveled there at the end of college. I lived in Argentina. Actually, that's how I met my Italian connection in South Jersey. Traveled in Ecuador, traveled in Colombia. And after I got raided and, took care of my legal shit, I flew there because I was planning on purchasing a piece of property in northern Colombia, the city called Cartagena. It was starting to explode with Americans, with like foreigners. Like the stink of the old days, Pablo Escobar and all the drug wars, that was kind of coming to an end. People were coming to Colombia and being like, oh shit, this place is fucking dope. So that was going to be one of my laundering schemes, was buying just a piece of raw land in this perfect part of Cartagena, and then I was just going to sit on it, maybe sell it to a developer. There's probably a fucking huge hotel there today.
Okay. That didn't work out, though.
That didn't work out.
Okay. So you came back to the U.S.
Yeah, I came back to the U.S. and, I have a friend when I leave the country for these tiny little month hiatuses. I have a friend who kind of looks after things. But that's when I really started shipping. That's when, I meet guys in Washington Heights. I've got my guys in Jersey, Philly. I have some guys in Ohio. I have some guys in Maryland. And that's when I buckle down and say, okay, it's time to get rich.
Right. You said one of the hardest things about the business at that point was where to keep the cash.
Yeah, of course.
And there was a situation where you had a garbage bag filled with 50,000. And something interesting happened with that bag.
Yeah, it was 40,000. It was 40 racks. Still a lot of money though. I was making about 50 a week, but it's not something you'd like to lose. I was putting money everywhere, right? Just trying to figure out how to launder it. I would bury shit in my parents' garden. I had, money in fucking safe deposit boxes under different people's names. I had cash in storage units. And then I slept with like 400,000 in a safe next to my bed, right? Because that's how I slept good at night, So I remember I had 40 G's come through, and I stopped by my parents' house, the house I grew up in, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with this. Let me just put this in like a trash bag, and I'll just keep it here just for a couple of days, just until I think about where else to put this money. So I put 40 G's in like a trash bag, and I go up to my parents' bedroom and I put it under their sink. And the next day I come back and I say, hi, Mom. And I go upstairs and I look under the sink in her bathroom. The trash bag's gone. And I was like, hey, Mom, did you see a garbage bag under here by chance? She goes, oh, yeah, I saw that yesterday. I didn't know what it was, so I just threw it in the garbage can. It is a trash bag after all. And I was like, when's garbage day? She goes, oh, it was this morning. There you go. There you go.
40,000 gone.
40,000 gone.
Okay, and did you actually tell your mom what was in the bag?
I did, because I was furious.
Okay.
I mean, I swallowed, like my parents kind of knew what I was doing. But I was like, Mom, that's 40 grand. And that kind of, that she felt awful. To her credit, she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But, at the same time, she was like, wow, what are you doing? You have $40,000? Like, I thought you were just kind of selling weed to your friends. So that's kind of what what woke them up to what their son was doing,
I mean, did you think about laundering the money, buying a business, something like that? People buy laundromats, people buy property, people buy hotels. I mean, not hotels, but motels and so forth.
Well, that's what I was learning as I was going, right? Like, that's what kind of woke me up to like investing. Like, I was reading, books about real estate, about how to buy a business. But it's all happening so fast, and I had no help, that it was just, it all came too quickly. If this had happened to me now at 38, not 23, 24, it would be a whole different story. But yeah, I would do things like I would promote shows, concerts and shit like that, rap shows, like Nipsey Hussle, before he was famous, flew him up to do a show. Yeah.
So Nipsey Hussle is paid with weed money.
Of course. Yeah. I can't be the only one, dude. I would do things like I started like buying sneakers and would like resell them on the internet, right? So I was like, okay, this is a way to start like cleaning up the cash right away in small, just small bits, and then creating a company around it. Like, I was learning about how you form an LLC, and then the idea with Colombia came, and I was like, okay, that's my ticket. That's where, after I clean up this street money and turn this into a couple $100,000, this is how I move that in bulk to, wire that down to Colombia.